I know everyone's tied a Clouser, right? Right? Can I show you how I tie mine?
By all means.
Alright. I put a better thread completely along the shank, and this is tied really tightly, right? Now, if we take, if we take this fly and we put the eyes here on this fly, and then the next fly we tie, we put the eyes here, it's a different fly because it's going to sink differently, right? So you've got to come up with a formula for where are your eyes going to go, right? So the formula, and none of this is my idea, right? These eyes are too small for this size fly. Wayne, I'll try and find one that's the right size for you. I just picked all of this up off the floor of the shop. Oh, here we go.
I was speaking to Trevor up at Barumba.
Yeah.
And he makes 6 flies. Every time he makes a fly, he makes 6 of them.
Yeah.
And he would do the same formula, you know what I mean? The same as you were saying. 6, all the same.
Yeah.
If one works, he knows that the other 5's going to work.
Yeah. I started using Clausers as a bit of tongue-in-cheek sarcasm because I started tying flies like surf candies and all of these real fancy flies, but I would run out of flies during the day and have to come home at night after guiding for bloody 10 or 12 hours and have to tie up flies for the next day. I can do probably 15 finished Clausers an hour, so that's plenty for the next day, right? And the thing was that people didn't turn up with flies, and I thought this is a good opportunity to see how good the Clouser is. So I used Clousers for a whole year, a whole season, and we caught as many fish as anyone else caught. So then the next year we tried different colours. Righto, so you take the eye, right? Yep, take the eye by one eyeball, and now you exit on, 3 one way, and then 3 the other way, right? And just let it hang, right? And you get your hook, you get your sample hook, wherever I'm using it.
Because really a guidance service, you want it.
So you're back a 1/4 inch in the old scale from
Oh no, we're going to put it in position we want it.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's it. T4 in the back.
Does anyone know Paul Dioria? He's probably one of the best fishermen around, actually. We had him in our newsletter. He had a 55 kilo Spaniard last year at the Nearings. Righto, so my measurement for the eyes, and it doesn't matter if it's a size 4, a size 6, a size 8, a size 4, that rule's the same. The width of the eye of the same hook I'm tying with, behind the eye of the hook, right? So that's a little bit wide, right? So it's only tied on with 6 threads, so I can pull it one way and get it to where it's right. Okay? But you've got to use the same hook, right? So now what you do is you tie it down onto the shank of the hook. So you come under the shank, diagonally across, and you might have to stand on top of this to watch this, right? But under the shank, diagonally across, and that's tying it onto the shank of the hook. Now, I'm not going to release the pressure here, right? Because what you've got to do is progressively tighten it, right? So we've done 3 what we call figure of 8s, which ties it onto the shank of the hook. Now what we're going to do is tighten those by going under the eye, but we're still going to go diagonally across the top of the eye. Because this is, if any of the threads get busted here, the eyes are going to fall off. So everything's going to go over the top of the eyes, but it's either going to go under the shank or it's going to go under the eye. But it's always going to go across the top. So tighten it, figure 8 it down, tighten it, figure 8 it down, tighten it,
I do.
figure 8 it down, tighten it, figure 8 it down, tighten it, figure 8 it down, and then just pull them in together, right? Get it straight, and you'll find that those eyes are quite tight.
You're not kidding, it should be with that amount of wrap.
Yeah, but what I'd have actually done is I've done 12 figure of 8s, and I've done 12 times I've tightened it, right? The thing is that if you put 12 figure of 8s and then do 12 unders and overs, you won't pull it tight. It has to be staggered. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way through to tighten it. But now the secret is not the thread. The secret's this shit.
Yeah.
This shrinks.
Is it?
Softex, right? And it shrinks, right? So we've got the thread is really tight here, right? But once we put this on it, right? Once we put this on it, it'll shrink and it'll pull those wraps even tighter. Now what you do is put a drop on, that's all you do, right? It'll do the rest, right?
I see one side.
This is a bucktail, right? And the hair is honeycombed internally, but there is more air in this part of the tail than what there is in this part of the tail. Okay, so the first thing we're going to tie on here is the tail, which comes out the back here, right? And we need to get a measurement, right? My measurement is about 1.5 hook lengths, right? So I've got 1 hook length and it'll come back to about where that is, right? That gives me enough tail that it'll flow nicely, right? So this is underneath the fly, that way, right? So I don't want the hair from here, I want the hair from up here. And I only want a percentage of the hair. I want about 2/3 of the hair is going to be here, and I'm going to have 3 times that amount of hair up here. Right, but the thing to remember is less is more too. So we'll take a bit of this, and we'll pull the short hairs out so there's not too much bulk in there. Hand stack it so it's reasonably long. Wet it, get your length, right? Come in with your vice hand, grip it above the eyes and cut it just in a straight line, right? So that, see, it's behind the eye of the hook. Because the worst thing is when you tie a fly and it ends up with hair in the eye of the hook, correct? All right. Now this trick was shown to me for blind people, and I'm pretty much blind, right? But did you know you can tell if the fly's been tied by a left or a right-handed fly tire? So now the secret is to make it so you can't tell if it's tied by a left or a right-handed fly tire, right? Because what happens is flies are always biased to the direction you're tying. So if it's tied by a right-handed fly tire, it will be biased to this side. So what you do is you lay the hair in this side of the eye with 2 wraps of thread. Now I'm going to pull down with the bobbin and I'm going to pull back with the hair, and you'll see it goes completely up on top of the hook without really looking at it, right? Now I'm going to trap it, come under the eye, give it a bit of slack, because if you put too much tension on this hair here, it'll snap it, right? And we've all seen Clousers with snapped hair on top of the eye. Then come through and just snug it down, right? And then increase your pressure going backwards. Right, give yourself some thread. Now back the pressure off, right, because you just want that to sit nice and flat, and then increase the pressure coming forward again. Right, decrease the pressure under the eyes. Continue it forward, because what's the next step? The next step is to put your crystal flash on, right? So now we're ready for the crystal flash, right? Rotate it away from yourself, right? All right, so once again, you've got to count, right? You've got to come up with how many flashes are going to be in this thing, right? My count's 6, right? Doesn't matter if it's 5, doesn't matter if it's 7, right? So you've got 6. Always cut your synthetics up close to the tag, right? Because if you only use that much, put this bit aside and use it later, right? But we're going to use the whole lot. Now, the other thing is, with your crystal flash, it's got to be doubled over because it's slippery. So double it around your thread, like that. Hold both strands in one hand, right? Now, tying's not about seeing it, it's about doing the right hand movements. If I keep the flash on my side, take the bobbin across the top, it goes directly on top of the hook without you looking at it, right? Tie back, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's all it needs to be done. Split it over the hook and put it in your material holder, right? So that you've got your length. Remember, our length is to the material holder, but you want the flash slightly longer than the bucktail. Now, why do you want it slightly longer than the bucktail? Anyone want to take a punt?
Sticks out the back.
Yeah!
So you can see
Yeah,
it.
but why?
So you can see
So
it.
that
Cunning old bugger.
Because then it flashes.
Yeah, that's
It's a
a
tail.
scale shed. A scale shed. That's very good. That's what bait does.
Probably obscured by other material.
Yeah, but say you get them pesky little toads, right? The action in bucktail is the tapered end here, right? If a toad comes in and does this, you've got no action left. So what the toad's going to eat is the crystal flash. Okay? It's homework. What are we going to do now? Oh, that's right, I can put a top on it. Right, this is my favourite colour, right? We've got to change threads now. I should have done that before. This colour, I played around with different colours for a long time. This colour came off a video. Has anyone seen In Search of Rising Tide? The Bonefish movie? No?
No.
He actually, I don't think I bought his salmon thread. No,
What's
that's
it
a
called,
bummer.
Gavin? In search of?
In Search of Rising Tide. It's about Andros Island, and oh, there we go. It's about Andros Island and catching big bonefish. And this Jamaican guy holds up his fly box and he goes, "Oh man, these are my big bonefish flies." And it was a tan and white clouser with a salmon pink nose. And I thought that was brilliant. And it looks pretty. It really does. And the first prerequisite with a fly is that if it doesn't look pretty and you don't like it, you won't use it. Because I'll bet you have all got flies sitting in your fly box that you're not happy with. That'll sit there till you die. Yeah.
Jim McVeigh used that pink flat wax nylon too, didn't he, for
Who?
the gotcha?
Yeah,
Jim McVeigh.
exactly right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep. And you wait till you see what colour this turns out. It's got a gotchery look about it. And I reckon it's brilliant. Right, so we should have had this on before, but anyway. Alright. So, now, this we took from high on the tail. So now we're going to take this from... Alright. Straighten it all up now before you finish your threads. Because you can see how that's skeezing up like this. Well, we're going to lay that down. Right, so what we're going to do now is tie back to our rear tie-in point. Hang your bobbin, right? Now you see the way the bobbin's spinning? Give it a helping hand because this is flat wax nylon, right? So what we've just done is flattened the thread by taking the twist out of it. Now hold your hair and just snug a few wraps back over that hair and then come forward. Don't pull down on the thread, expand it with your by moving your bobbin. Now increase the pressure going forward and you'll see that that hair's lying down now. Right, shape your head. Shape your head and tie it off.
It is very much like the gotcha, isn't it? It just doesn't have the pearl mylar body.
Oh, you could do that if you wanted to,
Yeah,
you know.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, before you glue it up, make sure it's all nice and square. And yeah, Bob's your uncle.